She had been cast out for helping a wounded Apache. By the first light, a strange mark had been carved into her door. May Dalton didn't know what it meant. She couldn't have guessed that by sunrise, 5 Apache warriors would ride through her uncle's land like a thunderstorm. She didn't know that the man she had pulled from a ravine 2 days prior was the most feared warrior in the territory, or that her act of mercy would cost her everything she'd ever known. What May did know, as her fingers traced the mysterious carving in the pre-dawn gloom, was that her life had changed forever. It all started the moment she looked into the eyes of a dying Apache and chose compassion over fear. In the Arizona Territory of 1860, an 18-year-old orphan and a 25-year-old warrior were about to discover that a single act of mercy could spark a love strong enough to bridge 2 worlds if it didn't destroy them both first. May Dalton had been alone for exactly 1 year. Typhoid fever had claimed her parents and older brother in just 3 weeks, leaving her with nothing but her uncles Silas and Luke Boone, who had inherited the family property, with one strict condition: May had to live with them until she married or turned 21, or the land would revert. From the moment she arrived, the Boones had made her life miserable. "You're heading to the Oak Grove today," Silas snapped that morning, tossing an empty sack at May's feet. "Don't come back until it's full. Every bit of it." "That's 2 hours there and back," May protested. "I won't be home before dark. You better hurry then," Luke said, not even glancing up from his breakfast. May had cooked that breakfast at 4 a.m., after barely 5 hours of sleep. She grabbed the sack without another word. Arguing never helped. At least, the morning was beautiful. Spring had painted the Arizona mountains with wildflowers and fresh green growth. May followed the well-worn trail toward the Oak Grove, her mind wandering to memories of her parents, her brother Owen, who used to make her laugh, and the life she had lost. She almost missed it, a smaller trail branching off to the left, disappearing into a stand of aspens she had never explored. May paused. She should stick to the Oak Grove, gather the firewood, and head home. But something about that trail called her. Sunlight filtering through the aspens, the distant murmur of water, the promise of a sliver of beauty in a life that had grown so grim. Just for a few minutes, she told herself. Just to see. The trail led her deeper into unknown territory. The landscape grew rockier, wilder, more isolated. A small stream cut through the stones, glinting in the morning light, and May paused to watch. That's when she heard a sound that didn't belong, a low-pained groan to her right. May's first instinct was to run. Wild animals prowled these mountains. Men with bad intentions lurked here too. Things a young woman alone shouldn't encounter. But the sound came again, and this time it carried something else, a wet, rattling tone. "Hello," May called out, clutching her sack like a weapon. "Is someone there?" The groaning ceased. May moved cautiously toward the sound, pushing through brush and climbing over a fallen log. What she found made her freeze. A man was wedged between 2 massive boulders. A patchy blanket covered him. Long black hair, clothing of deerskin. Even in his injured state, he carried the bearing of a warrior. One leg twisted at an unnatural angle, his right arm hanging wrong, dislocated or broken. She couldn't tell from this distance. Blood streaked his temple and shoulder, evidence of a fall from above. His horse stood 30 feet up the slope, tangled in brush, restless. The Apache's dark eyes found May, intense even through the obvious pain. He muttered something in Apache. A warning or a plea, May couldn't tell. "I don't speak Apache," she stammered, voice shaking. "But you're hurt. Badly." Every rational part of her mind screamed at her to leave. Apache and white settlers were enemies. Helping him could get her killed by him, her uncles, or the whole town if anyone knew. Yet when she looked into those dark eyes, fear melted away. She saw a human suffering, and that was enough. She remembered her mother, a healer, who had taught her that compassion was not selective. Pain deserved relief no matter whose body bore it. I'm going to help you, May said, setting down the sack. But you have to stay still. Please. Don't hurt me. For a fleeting moment, she thought she saw something in his eyes, surprise, amusement. May Dalton worked steadily for the next 2 hours, sweat running down her brow. She found a stout branch and used it as a lever to shift the smaller boulder, just enough to free Nash's leg. Not broken, thank the Lord, just badly bruised and scraped. His shoulder, however, looked far worse, dislocated. May's mind raced. She had seen her mother relocate a shoulder once years ago when she was only 14, and she had paid close attention. This is going to hurt, May warned, bracing herself. A lot. Nash gave a single firm nod. He steadied himself. May pushed and pulled carefully, following the movements she remembered from her mother. Nash's jaw clenched. Every muscle in his body tensed, rigid as steel. But he did not cry out. Not a sound except a sharp exhale when the joint finally popped back into place. There, May said, chest heaving. It's back in. You'll need to keep it still for a few weeks. She trailed off, noticing him staring at her with a focus that made her heart skip. Why, he asked, voice heavy with accent but clear. Why, help me because you needed it, May replied simply. His gaze lingered, searching her face for a long moment, guarded, wary, yet somehow softer. For you. If your people knew. Maybe, May admitted. But I couldn't just leave you there to die. Something shifted in Nash's expression, still controlled, still measured, but warmer somehow. I'll bring you home, he said, struggling to rise. May moved quickly to help, slipping under his good arm for support. You can barely walk. Can ride. Must get you home before dark. Not safe. For a white woman alone in these mountains, he added. Nash whistled sharply, and his horse above them snorted and picked its way down the slope, stopping beside them. I can walk back, May protested. No, Nash said firmly. I take you. His tone left no room for argument. May had never mounted a horse this large. She struggled, hands trembling, finally pulling herself into the saddle. Nash climbed behind her with care, each movement betraying pain, yet his expression remained stoic. He kept his distance. No part of him touched her except where absolutely necessary, hands on the reins, well clear of her body. May had expected something else, though she wasn't sure what. His complete detachment surprised her, leaving her heart pounding whenever his eyes lingered on her face. He was just a wounded man she had saved. Nothing more. The horse moved at a cautious walk. May tried to ignore the presence of him behind her, the sheer height, the restrained power, even injured. She had never been this close to any man, let alone one who seemed carved from stone and fire. 40 minutes later, the property came into view. Nash stopped the horse roughly 200 yards from the house. May dismounted clumsily, nearly losing her balance in the rush to steady herself. She turned to thank him properly this time, but he only gave a brief nod. No words, no expression. For 2 fleeting seconds his dark eyes met hers, neutral, unreadable, before he swung back into the saddle and rode away. No goodbye. No acknowledgement of the moment they had shared. May stood there oddly hollow, watching him disappear into the trees. She had imagined a connection, a shared moment. Clearly, she had imagined wrong. With a deep exhale, she turned toward the house, the empty sack of firewood still in her hands. What May did not know was that 50 yards to her left, hidden behind a thick oak, Hank Ryder had watched the entire scene. The nosy neighbor who had hunted on the Boone property despite repeated warnings. Hank had seen a white girl riding alongside an Apache warrior. Hank already scheming to twist the tale for maximum scandal. What May also did not know was that Nash, the warrior she had saved, he who rarely smiled, the one known as he who laughs in bitter irony, sat just out of sight on his horse, watching to make sure she reached the house safely. One hand pressed to his injured shoulder. thinking of the blue eyes that had met his own with compassion instead of fear, thinking of the white woman who had risked everything to save him, and thinking how he shouldn't be thinking of her at all. Hank Ryder stepped forward, voice dripping with drama. I saw it with my own eyes, her and some Apache buck cozying up on his horse. It wasn't like that, May Dalton protested, but nobody was listening. Reverend Pike arrived face hard as stone. This is serious, May. You've committed an act of treason against your own people. In wartime, we're not at war. We're always at war with the savages, someone shouted from the back. What's to be done? Silas asked, though May caught the faint smirk in his tone. He was enjoying her humiliation. Public punishment, Reverend Pike said. Tomorrow in the town square, 20 lashes. Everyone needs to see what becomes of traitors. May's stomach lurched. 20 lashes could kill her. At the very least, it would leave scars for life. Please, she whispered. I was only trying to help someone who was hurt. Then you should have let him die, Pike said coldly. Take her to the cellar, lock her in. We'll deal with her properly in the morning. Silas and Luke dragged May, literally dragged her, her bare feet, scraping against the rough wooden floor, down to the old root cellar behind the house. You brought this on yourself, Silas snapped. All you had to do was be a decent white woman. But no. You had to help the enemy. The door slammed behind her, the bolt sliding into place. Darkness swallowed her. May sank to the cold dirt floor, fighting back tears. She tried not to think about the lashes ripping into her back. Tried not to imagine dying in the town square, while people she'd known her whole life cheered. Exhaustion finally claimed her, and she dozed fitfully against the wall. She didn't know how long she'd been asleep when a noise stirred her, a scraping sound against the wooden door. May froze, holding her breath. The scraping continued, methodical. Deliberate, like someone carving something, then stopped. Silence returned, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl. May waited, heart hammering. Nothing more came. When the first pale light of dawn crept through the cracks in the door, voices and footsteps approached. Go get her, Silas ordered. Time for justice. The bolt scraped back. The door swung open. Silas stood framed in the morning glow. Come on, traitor. Town's waiting. He stopped. Eyes locked on the door. What the hell is that? May scrambled forward, squinting. Carved deep into the wood, still fresh, was a symbol. 3 lines crossing a circle with the unmistakable shape of a wolf beneath it. A mark, Luke breathed, stepping up behind Silas. What does it mean? Nothing good, Silas said, but May could hear the uncertainty in his voice. Maybe even fear. Before anyone could speak again, the pounding of hooves shattered the morning air, dozens of them riding fast, coming out of the sunrise like demons. 5 Apache warriors on horseback tore across the property with terrifying precision. War cries split the air arrows, whistling past. Silas and Luke dove for cover. Hank Ryder, who had come to escort May to her punishment, ran screaming toward town. The warriors swept through the property like a whirlwind. One of them seized May, lifting her bodily onto his horse before she could even scream. No, May fought, certain she was about to die. Please no, the warrior said in a broken tongue she didn't understand. His grip was iron inescapable. They rode hard and fast, leaving chaos behind. May could hear her uncle shouting, but the words faded as the warriors carried her deeper into the wilderness. Terror threatened to swallow her. She imagined they would kill her, torture her, do unspeakable things. She had helped one of them, and this was how mercy was repaid. After what felt like hours, but was likely less than one, they arrived at an Apache camp. Dozens of lodges, hundreds of people, pausing their work to stare as the warriors rode in with a white captive. May was pulled off the horse and pushed toward a large lodge at the center of the camp. Please, May begged, tears streaming. Please don't hurt me. I'll do whatever you want. Just, please. The lodge flap opened, and there he was. Nash, the man she had saved, stood before her shoulder, still bandaged, but clearly healing. He looked stronger, more commanding than when he had been trapped between the rocks, his expression unreadable. You did this, May whispered. You had them take me. Nash spoke quickly in Apache to the warriors, who bowed and departed. When they were alone, he turned to May. You are safe, he said in his accented English. No one hurt you. You're safe, Nash said calmly. May Dalton's fear twisted into anger. Safe? You kidnapped me. Your men raided my home. I thought you were going to kill me. If I wanted you dead, you would be, Nash replied, matter of fact. You're here because you're in danger. The only danger I'm in is because I helped you. Yes, Nash said quietly, and that danger would have killed you today. 20 lashes. May froze. You know this. How do you know I watched last night, he said. Heard men planning your punishment. Public whipping. You wouldn't have survived. So you saved me. I saved you because you saved me first, Nash said. Debts must be repaid. His jaw tightened. By taking you. May. You don't understand. Soldiers have hunted me for 3 years. He paused, searching for words. I am a valuable target. If they know I was wounded in that spot, they know where I hunt. Where I travel, they set ambushes. Kill me. Kill my warriors. He stepped closer. You, under threat or torture, could have given them information. Not your fault. Pain makes anyone talk. But what you know is dangerous to my people. That's why I brought you here. To keep you safe. To keep my people safe. Understand? May nodded slowly. Even as she hated it, she understood the logic. So I'm your prisoner, she asked. You are my responsibility, Nash corrected. There's a difference. What difference? A prisoner is kept against their will. Treated poorly. Denied freedom. Responsibility is protection. Given respect. Allowed to live. You'll have a lodge. Food. Safety. You help the tribe cook. Teach the children English if you wish. In return, you live well. You're not a prisoner. Guess who cannot leave? Yet May asked, puzzled. Yes, until it is safe, until the soldiers stop patrolling my hunting grounds. Nash trailed off, something flickering in his dark eyes. Until you say so. May looked at the man, the warrior who had shown no emotion when she saved him, who had ridden away without a backward glance. And now he was telling her she belonged to him. I want to go home, May said quietly. Your home was going to kill you today, Nash said softly. Then I'll stay here. Here you live. You choose. It wasn't much of a choice, but at least it was survival. Fine, May said, but I'm not your prisoner. And I'm not your property, agreed, Nash said, and in his tone a chill ran down her spine. You are something else entirely. Before May could ask what he meant, an older man entered the lodge. Nash straightened immediately, showing him the utmost respect. And so began May Dalton's new life as a guest who could not leave. The first week was the hardest. May was given a small lodge near the edge of the camp, private, comfortable, but clearly within sight of the warriors. She wasn't bound or guarded, but there was no question if she tried to run, she would be stopped. The language barrier was immense. Most of the tribe spoke little to no English. May spoke no Apache. She communicated through gestures and the few words Nash taught her during his evening visits. Every evening, like clockwork, he came. Never stayed long. Never touched her. Brief, businesslike. Need anything? Food good. No one bothering you, he'd say. And then he'd leave, always maintaining the same neutral distance he had shown when he first brought her home on his horse. It frustrated May more than she cared to admit. At first the women of the tribe were wary, but May won them over through sheer persistence. She helped with cooking. Her stews had flavors different from theirs, but hunger ignored such things. And her food was good, She helped with the children, entertaining toddlers who didn't care what language she spoke as long as she played with them. And May Dalton began teaching. It started with a curious 6-year-old boy who pointed to himself and said something in Apache. May pointed at him. Boy. Then she pointed at herself. Woman. At the sky. Blue. At the ground. Earth. Within a week, 5 children were gathering around her every afternoon, eager to learn English words. Within 2 weeks, she had 15. Nash watched from a distance. May caught him, sometimes standing near his lodge, arms crossed, observing her teaching. His face unreadable as always, but he watched. One evening in her 3rd week, he came to her lodge and spoke longer than his usual brief check-in. Children learn fast from you, he said. You are a good teacher. Thank you, May said, surprised by the compliment. Why do you do this? Teach them, help the women you could refuse. Cause trouble. But you do not. May considered his words. Because being angry or stubborn won't change my situation. And because these children didn't kidnap me. These women didn't hurt me. They're just people trying to live their lives like I am. Something flickered in Nash's eyes. You are unexpected. What does that mean? May asked. Most white women would hate us, fear us. You do not, May admitted. I was terrified when your warriors took me, but fear fades, she said softly. Underneath it all, I just see people. Some kind, some not. Same as anywhere. Nash was silent for a long moment. You saw that in me, May said. When I was trapped. You saw a person, not an enemy. Yes, he asked quietly. That is a rare gift, he said, and left before May could respond. But something had shifted between them. Some wall had developed the smallest crack. May first noticed her in the 4th week, a beautiful Apache woman, perhaps 22, with long black hair and striking features. She walked through the camp with confidence, and May noticed how the other people treated her with respect. She also saw the way the woman looked at Nash, and how Nash's entire posture shifted when she approached, not coldly, but carefully, like handling something delicate. Who is that? May asked one of the children she taught. A bright girl named Lila, the child said quickly. Learning English? Lila followed May's gaze. Kiva, she said. Lila searched for the English words May had taught her. Promise wife. To Nash. May's stomach tightened. Promised wife, May whispered to herself. Yes, they marry soon. 2. No. 3 moons. Engaged. 2. May corrected herself, remembering. Nash was engaged. May told herself it didn't matter. She barely knew the man. He had saved her life by taking her from danger, kept her under his protection. No, a small voice inside reminded her. Responsibility. He barely spoke to her beyond polite check-ins. So why did her chest feel tight? She found out the next afternoon when Kiva approached her directly. You are white woman, Kiva said in careful English. May, yes. And you? Kiva. I'm told you are to marry Nash in 3 moons. Kiva smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I help you. You are new. Do not know our ways. I teach. It sounded generous. But over the following days, May realized that teaching also meant taking on the hardest tasks. May, you fetch water. Very heavy pots. From river. Far river. May you wash these blankets. Very dirty. Cold stream. Scrub hard. May, you help with this, with that. Always the most labor-intensive, unpleasant work. Always with a sweet smile that did not hide the careful calculation behind it. Kiva wasn't cruel. She never hit May or openly insulted her, but she made May's life systematically harder. And she found ways to call Nash over whenever May was nearby. Nash, help me with this heavy basket. Nash, show me the meat you brought from hunting, Kiva would say, always ensuring May could see him. Nash. Remember, we must discuss the wedding ceremony, Kiva said, and always brushing her hand lightly along his arm. Always smiling up at him. Always making sure May could see. May told herself she didn't care. She was lying. It was a month and a half into May Dalton's life, among them, when everything shifted. She was teaching the children their English lesson, 15 of them, now sitting in a circle, Tuira, repeating words after her. Sky, May said. Sky! The children chorused back. One little boy, maybe 4 years old, pointed excitedly at a hawk circling overhead and shouted in broken Apache. The others laughed, and May laughed with them, even though she didn't understand the words. The pure joy on the child's face needed no translation. She looked up and caught Nash watching from 30 feet away, but this time his expression wasn't neutral. He was smiling, just barely a faint curve of his mouth, but it transformed him. Less like carved stone, more like a living man. Their eyes met. The smile faded, but warmth lingered in his gaze, something May hadn't seen before. Then Kiva appeared, slipping her arm through his. Nash looked away. That night he came to May's lodge as usual, but instead of his usual brief visit, he lingered. Children love you, he said. They talk about Teacher May all the time. I love them too. They're sweet, May admitted. So eager to learn. You could have refused. To teach. To help. You are what is called captive, Nash said softly. You owe us nothing. They're children. They deserve education. And I like having purpose. It makes me feel less like a prisoner and more like a person. May said simply. You are not a prisoner, he reminded her. You keep saying that. But I can't leave. Not yet. Nash sat the first time he'd ever taken a seat in her lodge. But maybe soon, he added. Hope flared in May's chest. Really? The soldiers have moved their patrols. The area where you found me is no longer their focus. Risk is less. In another moon, maybe 2, you could go home if you wished. May should have felt thrilled. Instead, a hollow emptiness pressed in. Home. To my uncles who hate me, she said quietly. Home. To a town that wanted to whip me in the square. That's not home. Then where is home? Nash asked. May looked around her small lodge, thought about the children she taught the women who had begun to accept her, the rhythm of tribal life she had started to understand. I don't know anymore, she admitted. Nash was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, When I was trapped in the rocks, I thought I would die. I was ready to die. Had nothing to live for except duty. Then you came, looked at me with those blue eyes full of kindness I did not deserve, saved me, and something inside me changed. I began to live again instead of just existing. May's breath caught. This was more than he had ever shared. You feel like a burden, he continued. Responsibility I took because I had to. But the truth is, he paused, meeting her eyes. The truth is, I brought you here partly for my people's safety, but partly because I could not let anyone hurt you. You became someone important to me, May. I should not say this. I am promised to Kiva. Wedding is soon, but I cannot lie to you. When you are near, I feel alive. When you laugh with the children, something in my chest warms. When you look at me, I want. He stood abruptly. I should go. I have said too much. Wait, May said, standing as well. You can't just say all that and leave. Yes, I can. Because I am an honorable man. I made a promise to Kiva's family. To her. I will not break that promise. Even if you don't love her, Nash's jaw tightened. Love is not required for marriage. Respect. Partnership. Duty. These matter more, don't they? May Dalton stepped closer, voice firm. Or are you hiding behind duty? Because feeling something actually terrifies you. You know nothing. I know you smile when you watch me teach. I know you come to my lodge every single night, even though you could send someone else. I know you look at me like I matter. And I know—" her voice dropped to a whisper. "I know you feel this thing between us. This pull, same as I do." Nash stared at her chest rising and falling with quick breaths. For a heartbeat, May thought he might kiss her. Instead, he turned and walked out of the lodge without another word. May was left standing, heart hammering, wondering what she had just done. The next morning, Kiva appeared at May's lodge earlier than usual. "You will come help prepare food for the wedding feast," she said coldly. "My wedding. To Nash. 3 weeks from now. You will see how an Apache woman wins her warrior's heart, not some white outsider who knows nothing of our ways." May met her gaze steadily. "If you have his heart, why are you threatened by me?" Kiva's smile was sharp as a blade. "I am not threatened. I am victorious. You are temporary. I am forever." She walked away, leaving May to wonder if that was true and why it hurt so much. The next 2 weeks were torture. Nash avoided May. He still came to her lodge for his check-ins, but they were brief, formal, painfully distant. No more personal conversations. No more lingering. May told herself it was for the best. She was lying. Wedding preparations intensified. Kiva made sure May was involved in every aspect, grinding corn for the feast, preparing hides, helping with decorations. Always a reminder. This is my wedding, my warrior, my future. May endured it with gritted teeth until one night she could take it no longer. 2 weeks before the wedding, May slipped out of her lodge after dark. Sleep was impossible. The confined space suffocated her, knowing Nash would soon belong to someone else. She walked to the stream at the edge of camp, sat on a rock, and let herself cry. She didn't hear him approach until he spoke. "You're crying." May spun around. Nash stood 10 feet away, backlit by moonlight. "I'm fine," she lied, wiping her face. "You're a terrible liar," he said, stepping closer. "Why do you cry?" "Because I'm tired. Because I'm homesick. Because—" She stopped. "Because why?" "Because you're getting married in 2 weeks and I have to watch and pretend I don't care. And I'm not very good at pretending." The words hung between them. Nash closed the distance in 3 long strides. "You think I want to marry her. You think I want anyone but—" He cut himself off, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "What?" May demanded. "Anyone but who? You." "Anyone but you," Nash said roughly. May's breath stopped. "Then don't marry her," May said. "I cannot break a sworn promise. It brings dishonor to her family, to me, to my people," Nash said. "So honor matters more than happiness." "Yes. But—" "I do not know. Before you, the answer was easy. Now nothing is easy," he added. May stood facing him. "If you marry her, I leave. I'll go back to my uncle's, to town, anywhere that isn't here watching you with someone else. You could be hurt there. I'll be hurt here," Nash said simply. "Just a different kind of hurt." He stared at her. "I cannot lose you. You can't have both." "I know," May whispered. "I know," he repeated, anguished. And then finally, he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate. Months of restraint shattered in an instant. His hands tangled in her hair. Her hands clutched his shirt, their mouths meeting with a hunger that bordered on violence. When they broke apart, both trembling, Nash whispered, "This is wrong." But he didn't let her go. "I don't care," May said. "I am promised. I don't care." He kissed her again and again until they were both breathless, aching. "We cannot," Nash murmured against her mouth. "I cannot bring dishonor." "Then tell her," May said softly. "Tell Kiva. You cannot marry her. Be honest. I cannot break it." "You keep saying that," May said, pushing gently away from him. "But you're breaking something every time you kiss me while promised to her. At least be honest about what you're doing." Nash looked stricken. "You are right. I am. I am being a coward, trying to take what I want without paying the price. That is not honor either." "Then what do you do?" May asked. I do not know, Nash admitted. But I cannot stop wanting you, cannot stop thinking of you. He pulled her close again. Cannot let you go. Then don't, May whispered. That night became the first of many. They could not stay away from each other. Every evening after dark, they met in secret by the stream, in the trees, anywhere hidden. They talked for hours. May shared stories of her parents, of Owen Dalton, of the life she had lost. Nash shared his own grief, a wife taken by illness, 3 years earlier, leaving him hollow. A childhood shaped by warrior training, the weight of being feared by enemies and depended on by his people. And they kissed, touched, learned each other through hands and breath and whispered confessions. Never more than kissing, Nash insisted. If I dishonor Kiva completely, I could never forgive myself. But even that restraint left them dizzy with need. I cannot marry her, Nash said one night, holding May close. I thought duty would be enough. But now I have tasted something real. I cannot go back to pretending. Then tell her, May urged. I will. Tomorrow I will speak to her family, break the engagement, face whatever comes. May's heart lifted. You mean it? I do. His voice was steady. You are mine, May Dalton, in every way that matters. I will not let duty steal that from us. He kissed her once more, deep and full of promise. Tomorrow, he said. Everything changes tomorrow. Tomorrow came with devastating news. At dawn, Chief Taro called a council. Every warrior was summoned. When Nash emerged from the council lodge 2 hours later, his face was hard with resolve. He found May near the teaching area. We must speak. Privately. They walked over the stream in tight silence. What happened? May asked. White soldiers have taken Apache land to the north, Nash said. Sacred land. They build a fort. They kill our people who resist. May felt cold spread through her chest. What does that mean? The chief orders me to lead warriors north, reclaim the land or die trying. How long I do not know. Many months, maybe a year, maybe more. And the wedding, May whispered. Nash's jaw tightened. Kiva's family demanded an answer. Marry her before I leave or break the engagement. The chief says I must decide now. We leave in 3 days. What did you tell them I asked for one day? Nash said. One day to decide whether to marry someone I do not love or break a promise that brings dishonor. May's voice cracked. That isn't a choice, I know. He pulled her close. But I also know I cannot marry her. I cannot bind her to me when my heart belongs to you. So you'll break it. Yes. I will accept dishonor. Accept the consequences. Your people will hate you. Some will. Others will understand. But you... His voice softened. You I cannot lose. Not for honor. Not for duty. Not for anything. May kissed him, tears slipping down her cheeks. Come back to me. No matter how long it takes. Come back. I swear it. That evening, Nash went to speak with Kiva's family. May was not there, but she heard what happened from Lila the next morning. Kiva's father was furious. Lila spoke in her careful English. There was shouting, many angry words. They said Nash brought shame. But Kiva... Lila hesitated. She was quiet, sad. Then she said something that stunned everyone. What May asked. She said, let him go. He does not love me. I deserve a man who chooses me with his whole heart. She released him from the promise. May's throat tightened. For weeks she had half-hated Kiva, but in that moment she felt only gratitude and respect. Kiva had given Nash his freedom. The engagement was broken. Nash came to May that night, eyes bright with relief and fierce resolve. I am free, he said, free to choose you. When I return from the north, we marry if you will have me. Yes, May said. Yes. They said it again and again, holding each other beneath the stars, whispering promises about a future that suddenly felt real. 3 days later, Nash rode north with 20 warriors straight into danger. May watched him leave, her hand pressed to her heart, whispering the words he had taught her in Apache. "Come back to me." He looked back, once touched his fist to his chest, a promise, and then he was gone. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, months into a year, then another. May remained with the tribe. She became one of them, speaking fluent Apache, now teaching not only children but adults who wanted to learn English. She was valued, respected, loved. Yet every night she slept alone, missing Nash with an ache that never faded. News arrived only in fragments. Warriors clashed with soldiers. Land was reclaimed, then lost, then taken again. Losses on both sides. But no word of whether Nash lived or died. May prayed he was alive. She had to believe it. "He will return," Kiva told her one day. After Nash left, they had become unlikely friends, bound by loving the same impossible man. "How do you know?" May asked. "Because he promised you," Kiva said simply. "And Nash does not break promises to those he loves." The second year was harder. Food grew scarce. Soldiers pushed closer to tribal lands. The elders spoke of moving farther south. Then on a cold late fall morning, riders appeared on the horizon. 20 Apache warriors led by the man May had dreamed of for 730 nights. Nash was home. May ran without thinking. Prayer be damned. She ran across the camp and threw herself into his arms the instant he dismounted. Nash caught her, held her so tightly she could barely breathe, buried his face in her hair. "You came back," May sobbed. "You really came back. I promised," Nash said roughly. "Where is she? Where is May?" "I'm here," she cried. "I'm right here." They stood like that for long moments, holding each other while the tribe watched and smiled. When they finally pulled apart, Nash cupped her face in his hands. "I am home," he said. "And I am never leaving you again." "Good," May said through tears. "Because I'm done waiting." That night a feast was held to welcome the warriors home. Nash sat beside May, their hands entwined beneath the table, unable to stop touching each other. Chief Taro rose to speak. "Our warriors return victorious. Land is reclaimed, but the white soldiers are many. They will come again. We must be ready." His words were cut short by the thunder of hooves. Not Apache horses, soldiers. At least 30 of them rode into the camp with rifles raised. At their front were 2 men May recognized with a sinking dread. Silas Boone, Luke Boone. Her uncles had found her. "There she is," Silas shouted, pointing at May. "Our niece kidnapped by savages." Chief Taro stepped forward, hands raised in peace. "This woman stays by choice." "She's white," Luke snapped. "She belongs with her own people. We demand her return." The commanding officer, a hard-faced captain May did not recognize, nodded. "The Boones have legal claim to their kin. The Apache have no right to hold white citizens." Nash stepped in front of May, his hand resting on his knife. "She stays," he said. "She is mine." "Stand down, warrior," the captain replied coldly. "We outnumber you 3-1, and we have orders. Retrieve the white woman by force if necessary," the soldiers were ordered. Chief Taro looked over his people, women, children, elders. He glanced at the rifles raised by the soldiers and made a choice. "We do not want war," the chief said quietly. "The white woman may leave for peace." No Nash stepped forward. "She is mine." The chief's voice was firm. "I am sorry, but I will not risk our people for one person, even one we love." "You cannot." "I can. I must. I may." "You must go with your uncles." "I have spoken." May felt her world shatter. She looked at Nash, anguish and rage warring across his face. "It's okay," she whispered. "I'll be okay." "No, not okay. I will come for you." "You can't. It would start a war. Your people need you more than I do." May kissed him quickly, desperately. "I love you. Remember that." Before Nash could respond, Silas grabbed May's arm and hauled her toward a horse. "Get on." May looked back at the tribe, the children she had taught now crying. Kiva with her hand over her mouth. Chief Taro looking old and saddened. And Nash, whose expression looked as if his heart had been torn out. "I'm sorry," the chief whispered to Nash. Nash said nothing. He simply watched as the soldiers escorted May away from the only home she had ever truly known. As they rode toward town, May didn't cry. She was too numb. She did not know that behind them Nash had stormed into his lodge and destroyed everything in a rage of grief. She did not know that Chief Taro had told him, "Give it 3 moons. Let anger cool. Then we will discuss what can be done." May only knew she was being taken back to a life that could kill her slowly or quickly, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The first week back, Silas and Luke were almost kind. See, Silas said, "We saved you, brought you home where you belong." But by the second week, the truth emerged. "You'll work for your keep," Luke announced, commanding her to cook clean wash for them and anyone else they designated. "This is my house. It's our house as long as you live here," Silas corrected. "You'll earn your keep or sleep outside." It was worse than before she had left. Much worse. 16-hour days, heavy labor, little food. May lost weight. Dark circles formed under her eyes. Bruises appeared when she worked too slowly, and she endured it because what choice did she have? 1 month passed. Then 2. May's spirit began to break until one night she discovered she wasn't alone in her suffering. She was pregnant. By the 3rd month of her captivity, May realized the truth. The nausea. The way her body felt different. Terror and joy roared through her chest. Nash's child was growing inside her. She had to protect this baby. She had to keep the secret until she could figure out what to do, but secrets had a way of revealing themselves. One morning, Silas noticed her looking ill. "What's wrong with you?" he demanded. "Nothing. Just a stomach ailment," May lied. He grabbed her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. He saw something in her face that narrowed his gaze. "You're pregnant. That savage's child is it." May said nothing. That was answer enough. "My God," Luke breathed. "You're carrying an Indian's bastard," Silas said coldly. "Tonight we are not raising some half-breed in this house. This is my home. My parents left it to me," May shouted. "And the will says I inherit at 21. "You're only 20, Silas said. "For 1 more year it's ours. And we say, get out now." May stood her ground. "No, I'm not leaving. This is my house, and my baby." "You can't." Silas struck her hard enough to knock her down. "You'll leave or we'll drag you out," he snarled. May struggled to her feet, one hand protectively over her stomach. "If you touch me again—" "What will you do?" Luke laughed. "You have no power here." That night May lay in her tiny room and cried until she had no tears left. She was trapped pregnant alone. She thought of Nash. Wondered if he thought of her. Wondered if he had given up and moved on. Wondered if she would ever see him again. What May did not know was that at that very moment, a mile from her former home, Nash had camped in the forest. 2 weeks he had waited watching planning patient. He hadn't forgotten May Dalton. He hadn't moved on. He hadn't given up. He had come to take her back. Consequences be damned. The right moment came 3 days later. May was alone in the house, scrubbing floors while her uncles were in town. Silas had discovered her pregnancy and grown crueler. That morning, he'd kicked her to teach her a lesson for burning his breakfast. Now he burst into the house midday drunk and furious. "On your feet," he snarled. What May asked, scrambling up. "I said on your feet." Silas advanced toward her. "You think you can disrespect me? Burn my food, carry that savage's bastard in my house." "Silas, please," May begged. "You should have been beaten harder years ago. Taught your place," he spat, raising his hand. But before it landed, the door crashed open. Sheriff Wyatt Cole stood there, gun drawn, Step away from her. Silas. Silas froze. This is none of your business, Sheriff. Beating a pregnant woman. That's my business. Cole's eyes hardened. I was riding by herd. Shouting came to investigate. She's my niece. She's a human being, and you're beating her. He stepped inside. Why, she disrespects, I heard you. Outside, Cole interrupted. I heard you say something about her carrying a savage's bastard. True, May nodded mutely. And these two have been mistreating you. Another nod. Cole's face darkened. How long since I came back 3 months ago, May said. But before that, 2 after my parents died. They've always been cruel. I should arrest you both right now, Cole said to Silas and Luke, who had just entered. For what Luke demanded. She's family. We can discipline. You can't beat a pregnant woman and call it discipline, Cole roared. But before I arrest you, I want to know something, Robert Whitmore's will. What did it say? Silas paled. That's private. Tell me. Now. Luke, always the weaker one, cracked. The property stays with us as long as May lives here until she's 21. If she leaves before then, it reverts to her. Cole's eyes narrowed. So you've been keeping her here through abuse and intimidation. So you could keep her house. It's not like that, Silas started. That's exactly like that. Cole said, turning to May. Did you know about that clause? No, May whispered. They never told me. Of course not. Because if you knew, you would have left years ago. This is fraud, coercion, and assault. Cole pulled out handcuffs. Silas Boone. Luke Boone, you're under arrest. You can't. Silas lunged forward. Cole's gun went up. One more step and I shoot. I'm done with both of you. As Cole cuffed them, he asked May, do you have somewhere to go? Family up, I know. I was living with the Apache tribe before my uncles forced me back. The father of my baby is Apache Ahanu. Cole exhaled. I'll figure that out later. Right now you need somewhere safe to stay while I deal with these two. He looked at the uncles with disgust. Get moving, both of you. As Cole marched them out, Silas shouted back. This doesn't change anything. The house is still ours. Actually, Cole said, pulling a paper from his pocket. I checked the county records this morning. May turned 21 last month, didn't you know? May's jaw dropped. She'd lost track of dates during her time with the tribe. That meant, as of 1 month ago, the property legally became hers. Silas and Luke had been squatting and abusing the rightful owner. The looks on their faces would have been comical if May hadn't felt so numb. So here's what's going to happen, Cole continued. You two are going to jail for assault. Then you'll get out and beg May's forgiveness. If she's generous enough to let you stay on her property, you'll work as farmhands and be damn grateful for it. Neither uncle answered. Cole shoved them toward his wagon and locked them inside the cage in the back. Then he came back to May. You all right, girl? I don't know. May said honestly. This is a lot, I imagine, Cole said, pausing. Your father was a good man. He and I were friends. I should have checked on you after he died. Should have made sure his brothers weren't mistreating you. I failed you. I'm sorry, Wyatt, Cole said quietly. It's not your fault. It is partly, but I'm making it right now. He looked at her rounded belly. You said the father is Apache, yes. Ahanu May's voice broke. Ahanu May's. He's everything, and I haven't seen him in 3 months. He probably thinks I abandoned him. Easy, Cole said, squeezing her shoulder. We'll figure it out. First you need rest, food, medical care. When's the last time you ate yesterday morning? Jesus, come on. I'm taking you to Eli Harper. He'll check you and the baby. But the house. We'll be here when you get back. It's yours now legally. No one can take it from you. May looked at the house, the home her parents had built, which her uncles had turned into a prison, and realized it didn't have to be a prison anymore. Sheriff May asked as Cole helped her into his wagon. I have an idea about the house. What's that? I want to turn it into a school for Apache children and white children alike. Teach them together. Build understanding. My parents would have loved that. Cole smiled. I think that's a fine idea, Miss Dalton. A very fine idea indeed. Eli Harper examined May and the baby, declaring both healthy though underweight. You need rest and good food, he said. That baby needs a mother who's cared for. May spent one night at the doctor's house eating 3 full meals, sleeping in a real bed. The next morning she returned to her property to find someone waiting, Nash, sitting on her porch as if he'd been there for hours, which he had. You came back? May breathed. I never left. I've been here for 2 weeks watching, waiting for the moment to take you, Nash said. You were going to be taken again. Yes. I could not bear to see you suffer. Were you planning a raid when the sheriff arrested my uncles yesterday? I watched from the trees, heard everything. He stepped off the porch and stood in front of her. I am sorry, Nash said. Sorry I let Chief Taro take you from me. Sorry I did not come sooner. Sorry for every day you suffered. You're here now, May said. That's what matters. I am, and I am not leaving without you. If you'll come, if you still want me, after. May kissed him, pouring every ounce of longing, love, and relief into it. When they broke apart, Nash's eyes were bright, almost awed. I have something to tell you, May said. Tell me. I'm pregnant with your child. Nash went completely still. We're having a baby in about 6 months. He let out a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob, scooped May into his arms and spun her around. A baby. Our baby. May, you are everything. You and this child. My family, my heart, my world. He set her down carefully, immediately placing a hand on her stomach. I cannot feel it yet, he said in awe. You will in a few months. I'll be here for all of it every moment. I'm not leaving your side ever again. Good, May said. Because I have plans for this house, for us, for our family. She explained her idea, the school a bridge between cultures, the future she wanted to build. Nash listened with growing wonder. You would do this? Teach both peoples together. I would if you'll help me. If the tribe will let their children come, they will. Nash said with certainty. And I will help. We'll build this together. A new way, not white, not Apache. Something better. Something ours, May agreed. Yes, ours. They stood there planning their future until Sheriff Cole returned with news. Silas and Luke Boone have been sentenced to 6 months in jail for assault. When they get out, you can choose whether to press charges for years of abuse or let them work off their debt to you. I want them to work, May said. Farmhands. They can live in the barn and tend the land, but never in the house. That's for the school. Justice and mercy, Claude nodded. Her parents would have been proud. 3 years later, the Dalton School had 23 students, 12 Apache, 11 white. May taught English and arithmetic. Nash taught tracking hunting, the patchwork of language and customs, both cultures learning from each other, building friendships that would last lifetimes. May and Nash's son, 3-year-old Thomas, played with the other children, fluent in both languages. Their daughter, 6-month-old Anne, napped in a cradle near May's desk. Silas and Luke lived in the converted barn, working the land, eating meals May provided, never complaining. They had learned their lesson. Kiva visited once a month with her new husband and 2 children. She and May had become genuine friends. The tribe had been wary of the school at first. But seeing how well the Apache children thrived, learning skills to navigate the white world without losing their culture, they had embraced it. Peace, imperfect but real, was growing. One evening after the students had gone home, May, Dalton, and Nash sat on their porch, watching the sun sink behind the distant mesas. You were right, Nash said, voice low, about building something new, better than what came before. We built it together. May corrected gently. You, me, and everyone willing to try. I still cannot believe sometimes that you are real, Nash admitted. Believe it. May leaned against him. "Because I'm never leaving." "Good," he whispered. "Because I would chase you to the end of the earth if you tried." Thomas came running muddy and laughing. "Papa?" "I caught a frog, come see." Nash stood, ruffling his son's hair. "Show me, little warrior." As they walked toward the stream, May touched the pendant around her neck. A wolf carved in wood, the same symbol that had been on her cellar door all those years ago. The mark that had promised protection claimed her and changed everything. She had been cast out for helping a wounded Apache, yet that act of compassion had led her to a love worth every sacrifice to a family, worth every struggle to a life worth living. And that, May thought, was the truest justice of all. She remembered how by morning a strange mark had been carved into her door. May Dalton didn't know what it meant as she traced it with trembling fingers in the pre-dawn darkness. 3 lines through a circle, a wolf beneath carved deep into the wood of the cellar where her uncles had locked her, waiting for the town to punish her in the square for the crime of compassion. What May learned that morning, as Apache warriors tore through her uncle's property like vengeance made flesh, was that the mark meant protection, belonging, a promise from a warrior she had saved that no one would ever harm her again. Nash, the most feared warrior in the territory, had taken her to protect both her life and the secrets of his people. What began as necessity became something neither expected, a love that bridged 2 worlds, defied 2 cultures, and proved stronger than duty, distance, or despair. They lost 2 years to separation, endured abuse, uncertainty, and the kind of longing that carved itself into bone. But when Nash came for her, having watched from the shadows for weeks, ready to wage war for her, May learned that some loves are worth every sacrifice, that family can be built rather than born, and that a mark carved in darkness can lead to the brightest light. Years later, their children would ask about that mark, how Mama and Papa met. May would always tell them the same thing: "I saw a person who needed help, and I helped him. I didn't know he was a legendary warrior. Didn't know he'd mark my door to protect me. Didn't know that one act of kindness would lead to the greatest love of my life." But that's how the best things happen, she would tell them. Not when we're looking for them, but when we simply choose to be good. And Nash would add, watching his wife with eyes still full of wonder, "Your mama saved my life twice, once from the rocks that trapped me, once from grief that would have killed me slowly. The mark I carved that night meant she is mine to protect." But truth is, we protected each other. We still do, and we always will. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and tell me in the comments which moment moved you most. Was it the mysterious mark on the door, Nash watching May from the shadows for weeks, or the moment she told him about the baby? And don't miss our next story, because every tale of courage and forbidden love reminds us that the greatest acts of bravery often start with the simplest acts of kindness. All stories are created for entertainment purposes and may include fictional elements or dramatized interpretations inspired by historical settings. We use AI tools, voiceover, visuals, scripts as creative assistants. However, all content is reviewed, refined, and edited by humans to ensure emotional authenticity and storytelling quality. We fully comply with YouTube's policies regarding AI-generated content and do not use any deepfake techniques or misleading recreations of real individuals. All visuals and supporting materials are properly licensed. Sharing, re-uploading, modifying, or distributing any part of this content in any form requires written permission. We appreciate your support and respect for original creative work.